On this photo, you can see bones which I found in Ecuador, in the south of Ecuador, in the province Loha, where in 1964, Father Carlos Vaca, a priest, was called by the indigenous in a small town because there was a heavy storm overnight and a part of a mountain breakdown of a platform, and many bones, broken bones, were shown up. Padre Carlos Vaca was working many years in hospitals, and they called him if he can tell them what this might be. So he visited the place and he checked the bones, and he identified many of the bones as human bones, but after researching everything, the size of this human skeleton must have had the size of 7.6 meters. You can see the papers on each bone. That's the handwriting of Father Carlos Vaca, and he also called some experts, and they also proved that these bones are skeleton bones of a giant human. The bones must be very old, because on this photo you can see a part of the skull plate, and you can see the crystallization on this bone. So that means this skeleton is really very, very old. I met the family of Father Carlos Vaca because it took me about 3-4 years until I found out where he lived in the province Loha. So when I went there, I got the sad information that exactly 1 month ago he passed away, but I could make contact with his family, his brother's family, and they kept all the bones, and they allowed me to bring some of these bones to Vienna to do some further research on them. So on this picture, you can see one definitely identified human bone. It's a part of the heel bone. This is a side picture of this heel bone. When I had it in Vienna, I asked the professor of anatomy from the University of Vienna if he can do me a check on these bones. And he checked several of them, and finally he said, it's incredible. They look like human bones, but it might not be possible because they are at least 5 times bigger. So next day he called me again, and he said if I would have time for him. So he came with the original human bones, exactly the same, and he did comparison, and he also said it's impossible, but they look like human bones, and I'm quite sure they are human bones because we had several other checks and the result was always the same. We found in old documents in South America, in Quito, informations from Chiesa de Leon. He was historian for the conquistadors in the 16th century, and in one of his reports he wrote, today we found on the coast of Esmeraldas several human skeletons, but they were 5 times bigger than we. So if you think that a normal person at that time had the size of about 150, 160 centimeters, 5 times would be exactly 7.5, 7.6 meters. The next photo shows part of the nose bone, and the next one is a so-called os occipitale, which we have left side, right side under the skull, which makes us able to move the skull around. As Michael said yesterday, he never got in touch with the real old giant human bones. I asked him today, I would be very happy if he could visit me in Vienna and check the bones, because his opinion would be very important for me.